Okay, good evening. And welcome to the public meeting of the Victoria Esquimalt Police Board. I'm going to call the meeting to order right now at 5:01. I'm going to hand it over to Mayor Alto to provide our territorial.
Thank you very much, Chair. We always want to take a moment when we gather together. Before we begin that work, we recognize express our gratitude to the conditions territory state. Have some issue. Some issue. We recognize the unique decade of emergence. All of them. Decisions that we make, changes that we wish to make, which benefits all. Try to recognize we all wish this rest. Relationships we have had so far.
Just before we get started with the rest of the agenda, I just want to take a moment and introduce the room to Denise Robertson. She is our board coordinator. It's the first time the board has a dedicated staff person listed for the department since I've been on the board. It was a positive step forward for us, and we're really pleased to have her. I am just going to ask that the staff and members of the leadership in the room introduce themselves. She's not the board, but it's conference meeting. And also
around the deputy. Very heavy operation today.
thank you very much. I'll just introduce you. I understand the game.
Yeah. No, it's right.
So yeah, thank you. I just wanted to take a moment to do that. And now I'll move forward and just look around the room for declarations of confidence. Seeing none, I will look for a motion to adopt agenda April 21st. All in favor? Now I will look for a motion to adopt the public minutes of February 23rd, 2026. Not have a board update. Your update. It is an update. I will remind you of the
Chairperson
sorry, seconder. All in favor?
Very helpful.
Now I will move on to the committee's update, which we received in a separate agenda. Okay, so it's good. And that, and just before we start the finance, I want to let you know that I received an email earlier from indicating that we will do so I would be looking for into that motion. We absolutely have room in our budget to make that after we pay for the conferences, the governance conference. Won't be here, so I. Any further discussion? I know we discussed it. And I'll call the motion. All those in favor? Grace.
Well, I'm just, I will just say from my perspective as a board member, I'm very disappointed that, supporting the, unfortunately, I'm going through the session process once again. I don't see any other, possible course. I think we could, make sure that the department has, its resources, chief and senior leadership for, the reasons why we need to.
Favor.
Thank you, Chairperson. Just one matter, stepping out of the last governance committee meeting, and it's I see it as a housekeeping, but it's just the governance committee is always reviewing its policies. It's board manual, and there was a discussion around minute taking, in particular for closed and camera meetings. Those meetings, first off, are with the board and the chief constable, predominantly around labor relations or those types of matters where confidentiality.
Sorry, I'm just gonna stop.
Well, that's that we just take maybe like a 5-minute adjournment or try to reconvene it. So it is.
I'm gonna adjourn and recognize.
On the worst day, you're always mad at you.
I know. It's like, yes, I have turned it on and off again. I know, no one's contacted me today.
Yeah,
Last week you did a great job.
Super job. I really enjoyed that.
I really appreciate all your help.
Okay. Yeah. Now the public will know that I check my board meetings if they have meetings. Trying again, we'll reconvene the public meeting and I will go back to Paul Farrow, Governance Chair, who is.
Just thank you, Chairperson, and apologies to the public for those technical difficulties. The board has been grappling with those and trying to improve it. It's and we're just it's not time. It's going to actually step out of the last governance committee meeting. The board, just for the public should know, is looking at designing its own dedicated website and trying to provide more information, more reliable information, more transparency. And we're having initial discussions on that, and we'll see where that goes. But virtual meetings are always difficult, but we're certainly doing our best to try to mitigate those. So just on the governance committee, there's just one what I would consider a housekeeping matter. It pertains to minutes of meetings. We currently have a board policy, board manual that lays out our policies for how meetings are conducted. We're also governed by the Police Act, and specifically the Municipal Police Board meeting regulations. But we didn't have strong enough language in around dealing with closed in camera meetings. Closed in camera meetings are with the board and the chief constable only. They're predominantly dealing with labor relations types of issues and those types of staffing issues. And so what the governance committee is, and I don't believe it was circulated in the agenda, but there's a motion to adopt kind of a revised policy. 90% of the policy is existing language, but there's a new section at the end that I will read just for the board's understanding. And what it says is minutes of a closed in-camera meeting at which the board EA or other board person appointed to support the board is not present are recorded by the board vice chair or other board member tasked to do so by the board, and only the results of any decisions taken or actions arising are recorded. Record of the decision will be retained by the board EA closed in camera meetings unless they're not present, in which the board vice chair will retain record of the decisions. The board chair will ensure that all decisions are actioned accordingly. So on behalf of the governance committee, I'm moving that revised policy.
Thank you, David. Any further discussion? Favor? Thank you very much. We move on to item F, board member engagement. Well, I will just take a quick moment and indicate that I had an opportunity to attend the launch event for the Manitoba Women Enforcement in Winnipeg earlier this month. Director Partner and Chief Wilson, where Chief Wilson provided a really unique opportunity to be celebrated as an organization that is so many women in leadership roles, to have a chief, chair, union president, serve communities with 2 mayors and have so many directors that are female is a really fantastic thing to celebrate. And it was an opportunity to put their organization in that, and Chief Wilson provided really useful remarks, and it was just a real pleasure to be there.
Chairperson, on April the 9th, I had the honor and privilege to attend Staff Sergeant and Inspector promotional event. I actually gave greetings on behalf of the board. It's always great to attend the PD ceremonies, to see the dedication of the staff here, the constables and frontline staff, and I would say all staff who have lengthy careers here at the PD. Six people were promoted, all with long tenure within the PD. My background is out of the labor movement. I have always said that one of the most important resource for any employer is its people, and I think that speaks volume here at the PD. And I'm so impressed with the dedication, professionalism, and passion of all the PD employees. And I guess just on behalf of the board, I want to say congratulations to those who were promoted, and looking forward to working with all of them in the days and months and hopefully years moving forward.
Further engagement updates? Seeing none, I will move on to item F, Chief Constable update. I will pass it over to you, Matt Cash.
Thank you very much, Chair. I have a couple of things just on the Chief's update on behalf of Chiefs. There is a lengthy document in your package just outlining some of the engagements that she's had over the last 2 months. I will say, just as a bit of a highlight, this is just a snapshot of high level things that she has done in the last 2 months. Her schedule is nothing short of it. She's essentially working 7 days a week. We are trying to scale that back just a touch for her, but so far that is not what she's doing. She is being an absolute forward as an example. Today, the reason she's not here is because she was invited as both Chiefs across Canada to attend Ottawa for what is known as the I think there's actually now, but meeting with members of Parliament in Ottawa on behalf of the Canadian Association of Chiefs and Police in order to advocate and provide feedback and updates on different changes or things that should be updated within legislation and everything in between policing with our members of Parliament. It's a great honor to be invited to do this. I'm not aware of any previous Victoria Chief actually attending for lobby days, so very pleased that she's had the opportunity to do that. And in order to make that work, she's in a very busy schedule of getting there and getting back. It's something that she's very committed to, and I want to acknowledge the work that she's done in that regard. That really is for the Chief's update all I have, but I do have a deputy. So just giving a little bit more information on where we're at with the preparations for 2026. Some of you may be aware that on March 31st, the Legislative Grounds, they are going to be the first major event in all of British Columbia. That event was at the Newport. We were set up on the grounds, or on the lawns of the ledge. It was an officially sponsored event with everything from the party kids and food trucks and everything else. It was something that they were using it as a bit of a test event for other events that are happening in other cities. As we lead up to where our new start of from an operational perspective, it went very smoothly. We played 5 special duty officers. Those officers very good officers. We were there received as a process. We also are now meeting every 2 weeks from a law enforcement perspective to ensure that all of the communities that are impacted by these areas are on the same page and then finally, we continue to meet partners in Saanich Basin, Saanich, and is still a lot of unknown for us here in Greater Victoria, and what how we can make money here. However, what we do know is that we expect for Victoria proper, there will be events at bars or clubs that maybe require some level of additional music rather than an additional large scale event, smaller amounts of legislature months. That is what we are preparing for, what we are working with to ensure that all of our local partners to ensure get the information being shared, and if any of the communities are aware of it and know about it, and this is especially.
Any further to Great, thank you. So I will move on to new business. Item A, community safety and well-being liaison. Yes, okay.
This is just an update on our community safety and well-being liaison. So, as you know, in September, the committee committed to going all in and assisting with our portion of community safety. Mr. Howard Grant was hired as our liaison person to work closely on behalf of the departments as they were going in. That time has come. New and large work on safety that just to be crystal clear, there's not needs engagement in the process areas in safety. It's just transitioning to Inspector Malinowski, Services Division. Inspector Malinowski has been engaged in this plan since its inception. It's very well versed in the operational side of the board, and it's very engaged, well connected. It's very expect there are great sponsors for division, and there's we can get it to what I would call it's as this wasn't sure how we were going to get it to the next phase.
Very much for that update. KB.
Thank you, Chairperson. This is just an announcement for the public. And immediately following this meeting, there will be a meeting of what's known as a service or policy complaint meeting. It'll be done in public. It'll be utilizing the same link that folks are utilizing right now. Just a little context people are wondering what service or policy complaint is, and Corbett just give me some latitude here. Under Division 5 of the Police Act, the board is responsible for the handling of service or policy complaints, including determining admissibility, directing investigation of studies, dismissing complaints, or where appropriate, including complaints once satisfied that adequate action has been taken. The board's current structure for service or policy complaints, which was dealt with around October 2024, established a clear governance framework that included the following elements: assignment of the complaints to the governance committee, the availability of course of action under 171 of the Police Act. Some recent discussions around a current service or policy complaint had the board kind of relook at this. And while the process is well defined, there was an opportunity to provide greater clarity and consistency regarding of how we do that. What we looked at was when the board should occur dealing with in public or in camera, how service or policy complaints are sequenced within the board structure, and how transparency is achieved once matters no longer subject to statutory or privacy restrictions. To support this, the board had passed in February a revised structure which that lays out the new process that I just talked about, having when necessary a special meeting following the public board meeting. We're lucky here at Vic PD that we only have we do not receive service or policy complaints that often, and we only have a couple that are in before us, and the board is that they're actively engaged in. So it's a change of practice. It's one to try to improve our practice, to try to again cover those issues that we're required to under the Police Act, and make this process more transparent. So that will be happening again immediately following board meeting.
Move on to item C, which is the cumulative committee compost report. I'm pleased to see this back in the agenda package. This was a formed part of the agenda when I was first on the board, and so it was an opportunity to share compliments that I received from members of the public about interactions with specific individuals or any experience that they have with the community, and I think it's a really good opportunity to highlight extraordinary work that he's doing in the community, and I'm just going to pass it over to Acting Chief to share through the
Great, thanks, Chair, and thanks for commenting on that. This was something that formed part of the news for many years, and I'm very happy to see that. As you probably know, we receive primarily from the Chief's office a very large amount of correspondence that's positive in nature, letting the Chief know about excellent interactions and kind of communities, a whole host of other things, and being able to share some of that, I think, is important for the board as well as rather than highlighting committee-specific compliments in this particular quarter, I just wanted to highlight a few things of these compliments report. The first is the establishment of the many in here from a variety of people, so there's service providers thanking us for establishing both people it is the feedback on that is anecdotally has been very positive, but we kind of we'll see there's been a number on that and highlighted that as being something very effective and very well received. That was the first, and I'm very happy to see that. And then the second thing that came out is traffic safety. So as you may recall, over the last number of months, we've done a couple of traffic safety campaigns, and some of those we have partners at Integrated Road Safety Unit as well as our small medium traffic section, and the feedback we're receiving on that is also very strong, very positive, and it is that is something that we generally get positive feedback when we do traffic. It is something that is noticed, and I'm really happy to see that those two items, both and the traffic safety, really work and keep things moving.
Yeah, and thank you to all the members of the public. Moving on to item 4, which is a rise and report. So I'm just going to read that the board, we passed this motion that the board approved a $260,230 increase to its 2026 budget and hiring costs for 6 new positions. These positions: 2 strike force officers, 2 community resource officers, community program, cyber security analysts, included in the final provisional budget submitted on February 26th. This approval is based on the 2025 budget appeal decision under Section 27 of the Police Act, as communicated by Glenn Lewis, Assistant Deputy Minister and Director of Police and Law Enforcement Services on March 2nd. And now item 5 in this agenda is just shared for correspondence. It's a response letter that the board received from Minister Krieger. I read it, everybody's had an opportunity to read it, but it's just responding to the board's visualization and request for opportunity to discuss further. Well, I am going to take a, there's nothing else to add, and I will take a motion to adjourn the public meeting. Daniel, seconded by Holly. All those in favor? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Do you want to take a break of any sort or roll right into service policy?
I'm happy to roll right in. I think we're all here, we're all engaged. Technology is working, so let's keep things rolling. So.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Well, then I will just take a motion to adjourn, or sorry, to start with, I can't remember the word. I'm really tired. Service or policy complaint meeting of April 21st, 2026. Charlene, seconded by Andrea. All those in favor? Thank you. And I will take a motion to adopt service or policy complaint agenda of April 21st, 2026. Andrea, Charlene, all those in favor? Thank you. I will hand it over now to our governance chair, Paul Fair.
Thank you. And again, this kind of stems from the previous comments I made about this topic. What I'm gonna do here is ask for some leeway to provide an overview of a service or policy complaint. I think it's important that we give an overview of what the complaint was and what our findings are. I will say that the board tasked the governance committee to review this matter. Decisions were made to 6 parts of the complaint, which I'll get into. We're actually made a decision to utilize 2 external independent agencies for review, and I'll talk about that in a second. The governance committee has obtained those reports. All of the board has had them for some time, and I know you've all been read them and up to speed on it. Let me provide some background and an overview of the complaint. B, what was reviewed. I'm going to talk about the scope of review, the key findings, just so that the public can understand exactly what we've gone through. So bear with me. It's a few words, but I'll do my best to get through this as fast as I can. But it's important that we put everything on the table. On February 15, 2024, a service or policy complaint was filed containing 6 components. The complaint arose from a failed prosecution of a major drug investigation conducted by the Victoria Police Department in circumstances where a member involved in the investigation was found to have committed a misconduct under the Police Act. To ensure the independence of procedural fairness, the Victoria and Esquimalt Police Board referred the matter externally to as follows. Parts 1 to 4 was referred to the Delta Police Department for a comprehensive and independent review. Parts 5 and 6 were referred to the Surrey Police Service for a comprehensive and independent review. Delta, as I said, the Delta Police Department reviewed complaints 1 and 4. The Delta review examined the allegations. The complaint is in the agenda package. The following allegations. 1, that there was a failure in the general direction, management, operation of VicPD in relation to a criminal investigation, referencing a judicial decision. 2, VicPD's standing orders, policies, or internal procedures were inadequate to prevent failure to provide accurate facts and full disclosure in criminal investigations, including information provided to Crown Counsel and judicial officers in relation to judicial authorizations. 3, VicPD's policies and procedures were inadequate with respect to permitting the involvement of an officer under investigation for a serious misconduct in an active criminal investigation, whether appropriate safeguards were in place. And finally, 4, VicPD's training programs were inadequate to respect to the reporting, and disclosure obligations in the criminal investigations. The scope of the review conducted by the Delta Police Department followed a comprehensive review that included examining all of relevant investigation files, a review of all applicable VicPD policies and case management rules, a review of the disclosure protocols and provincial memorandum of understanding between the police and the BC Prosecution Service, interviews with VicPD members involved in the investigation, and interviews with Crown Counsel. and this was conducted by the Delta Police Department independently. Their key findings was for general direction and management, the Delta Police Department found no substantiated evidence of systemic failure, deliberate mismanagement, or intentional concealment by Vic PD leadership. The review concluded that the issues identified in the judicial decision arose from a flawed strategy, communication gaps, and misunderstandings regarding file continuity rather than institutional misconduct or ethical failure. Around disclosure obligations, while an earlier investigative file was not initially disclosed in the earlier stages of disclosure to the Crown, the review found no evidence of intentional deceit. The omission stemmed from an operational belief that a subsequent file constituted a new and distinct investigation. When the relevance of an earlier file became apparent, the information was disclosed. The review was concluded, and the issue reflected and operational misunderstandings rather than a deliberate attempt to obscure material facts. The Delta Police Department concluded that Vic PD's written policies and procedures governing criminal investigations and disclosures were adequate and consistent with accepted policing standards. No systemic deficiencies in formal policy framework were identified. The issues that arose were attributed to the application and interpretation in a highly unusual and complex circumstance. The review found that Vic PD permitted the continual operation involvement of a member under investigation at the express request of an external anti-corruption investigative unit in order to preserve the integrity of that investigation. Training. The review concluded, again, this is Delta, concluded that Vic PD's training framework regarding investigative documentation and disclosure was generally adequate and aligned with recognized police standards. However, the review identified an opportunity for reinforcement in complex investigations, including file continuity and disclosure sensitivity. And there are some recommendations which the Governance Committee will be moving shortly. Regarding the parts 5 and 6 of the complaint, that was referred to the Surrey Police Service. Again, it was an independent review. The issues reviewed by the SPS was around parts 5 and 6. That one, that there was a failure in the general direction and management of Vic PD through inadequate regulation of employees' personal and business relationships with officers under investigation for serious misconduct. And 2, Vic PD's standing orders, policies, or internal procedures were adequate in regulating employee secondary employment business relationships in such circumstances. The scope of the review conducted by the SPS or Surrey Police Service was 1, an examination of Vic PD policy AC-050, secondary activity of board membership. 2, a review of relevant secondary employment approvals. 3, consideration of a legal opinion from the Surrey Police Service General Counsel. And finally, the SPS reviewed all relevant factual background relating to the approved secondary employment. Key findings out of SPS was that the Surrey SPS concluded that policy AC-050 clearly requires prior authorization for secondary employment and establishes safeguards for the real and perceived conflict of interest. The policy was found to adequately support organizational accountability and liability management and to appropriately regulate secondary activities and business interests. The review determined that secondary employment had been disclosed under the applicable policy at the time that it was authorized. The policy did not require automatic removal of the approved secondary employment solely upon the initiation of an investigation. No evidence of systemic failure in the general direction, management, or operation was identified. And the Surrey Police Department has provided the Governance Committee recommendations that the Governance Committee has deliberated on, and I will turn that over to a member of the Governance Committee to move in a second. But finally, Chair, I want to say that Both independent external reviews concluded that there was no evidence of systemic failure in VicPD's general direction, management, or operation. VicPD's written policies and procedures are adequate and consistent with accepting policing standards. The issue that arose were a result of a complex and unusual operational circumstances rather than institutional neglect or policy deficiency. There is an opportunity to enhance the disclosed focused training in complex investigations. That will be that the governance committee that discussed, and there is a motion pertaining that moving forward. So Chair, that is the overview of policy service or policy complaint 2024-25449. I'll turn it over to maybe a member of the governance committee to move applicable motions. Thank you.
So I'd recommend that we support, accept the recommendation of the governance committee that they modules, collaboration with Crown Council,
Open for discussion. All those in favor? Motion carries.
motion is that the motion has to be raised by all this board. 24-25-449, parts of motion 4, based on the information you have. Submit the findings to the office.
Any discussion on this? I'll call the motion. All those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Motion.
Third motion is I motion that support and subsequent recommendation conclude its review of service and policy 4-25-449 parts 5 and 6 based on the information outlined in the screen services. Other findings office.
Discussion. I'll call the motion. All those in favor?
I just want to, just on behalf of the governance committee and the board, I want to thank the Surrey Police Service and the Delta Police Department for a whole lot of work outside of their normal day operations to help us review this complaint. They put a lot of effort. Their report was comprehensive, thorough, and I think it was a good decision to have that external independent review done. So I want to thank them for their work.
Very much. For all the work as governance chair. So thank you very much, everybody, and I will take a motion to adjourn the service policy complaint meeting. Daniel, Ollie, all those in favor? Very much.